Hello, this is gonna be intro video for the clutch project that I recently finished, and so far I have driven this car for about 600 kilometers, and in overall I'm very happy with the new setup, and I can tell the difference, the OEM clutch setup versus Jim Wolf clutch setup. And the first thing, it was the clutch pedal itself. I felt on the test drive, the first test drive, I felt how easier it's actually to press. I assume because of the newer pressure plate. And the same for the single mass flywheel. It's also, I can feel the difference in the way that clutch become more responsive. And right now I just need to be a bit more gentle with engagement and disengagement of the clutch, and basically I cannot drop it, otherwise I and all occupants in the car would feel the sudden movements. Yes, but it's only matter of the style, of the driver. Right now I will start the car just to show that there's gonna be minimum amount of vibration at idling. Yeah, so right now let me engage the first gear. So first gear is engaged. I slowly gonna release it and I'm gonna add a little bit of gas. That's it. That was all. So right now I'm in the first gear already. I'm going next to the neutral. So right now I'm again on the second gear. Right now it's third gear. Alright, so for me it's time to change the clutch on my 2012 Nissan Xterra, and I will try to do whole work by myself in underground parking, and I'm also planning to do a little bit different approach than most of the videos online. And I will show the way how I'm doing it. I will try to record as much as I can. And I already raised the car. The end of the car, I put it on axle stands. It's about 8-inch high. And the front one, I'm using the ramps. So for the front one, for now I'm using the ramps, and I already started putting the PP blaster on the crossmember. Yes, and the first step that I'm gonna do after the race in the car, I'm gonna remove the transfer case skid plate, and in this case I have the 13 millimeters 4 bolts. My next step, I'm gonna loosen the nuts and studs from the exhaust system, and currently this is passenger side, and this is gonna be 14 millimeter socket, and I'm gonna be using the longer socket. So, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna loosen it. Okay, so this one done. The same for another one. right now I'm gonna move to the upper stream. So I'm gonna loosen the studs on the next joint. And now I'm just gonna disconnect the O2 sensor, and I will remove it from the bracket first. And this is 10mm socket, so just like that. So this one is loosened. And now I'm on the opposite side. I'm doing the driver's side. I will disconnect the O2 sensor on the driver's side, the low stream one. So again, it's not as visible, but here this is the O2 sensor, the wire harness going to this bracket, and now I'm gonna disconnect this bracket. It's two 10mm sockets, bolts. So I'm just gonna do it now. Yeah, this one is loose. And now I'm gonna do the second one. So one piece. And the second one. And after you will see the bracket. The very beautiful bracket. Okay, so this is the bracket. Nice. So this is done. I guess I'm gonna keep the bracket together and wire together. I'm just gonna hide it somewhere safe. Okay. Just for now. I'm gonna keep it above the catalytic converter. And now I moved to the driver side, lower catalytic converter side, downstream one. So I'm gonna loosen this side. Alright, and to remove the studs, I'm using the star shape socket, and it looks like 10mm one. And I'm using longer 3/8 ratchet, also with the flexible head. And it's again, I think it's 10" long. So let me try to remove these studs. And again, I'm gonna start with the driver's side. Yeah, it's very like that one. One is out, one is loose, and second one, let me see. Second is also loose. And now I'm gonna carefully remove it and put it somewhere safe on the top of the crossmember. Yeah, just like this. Yeah, okay. And in my next step, I'm gonna remove the rest of the exhaust system, the muffler, the tailpipe, and the Y-pipe. So this is the front of the car, pointing that way. Okay, and the thing I'm gonna try to loosen these insulator bolts for the hanger. So I will try to remove all 3 hangers. And I believe they're all 12 millimeters. So let me see. Yeah, it's 12 millimeters. Okay, they could break. So for now I'm just gonna put maybe just the support to support this end, and after to support this end of the exhaust, and after I'm gonna move to second bracket. So I won't gonna remove those bolts completely for now. And this is how I used the jack, the floor jack, to support the muffler on one side. So now I'm gonna move straight to the second bracket. And the second bracket located on the other end of the muffler. So this is towards the rear end. Okay, and the bracket itself is gonna be this one. And it's again, it looks like 2 12mm sockets. And exactly in the same way I'm gonna try to use impact just to little bit loosen them up, and after I'm gonna use the wrench. is out. The bracket is out. Oh my god! So that's what's happened. That's I'm happy, very happy that the bolts didn't break inside, but the bracket insulator, the rubber insulator gets separated. So that's fine. I'm gonna replace them. Okay, and this is the last hanger. It's in the end. So this hanger has 3 bolts. 2 of them on one side and 1 of them on another side. It's not 12 millimeter, it's 13 millimeters. So all of them is 13 millimeters. So I'm gonna use just the impact. So 2 more to go. So the same as second one, and the third one I'm gonna loosen in a moment, but before that I need to show that I also secure this end of the tailpipe, the exhaust tailpipe. I also secured it with the check so that it's not gonna collapse on me. So now I'm gonna try to put it back. Yeah, and for the last one I need to use. For the last one I just need to use the wrench. So at this moment I'm just gonna disconnect that first hanger kit. Okay, now we are back to the hanger kit. I'm taking my impact and carefully I'm gonna remove it. So 1 bolt out, and now it's gonna be second one. So now about this hanger, there's gonna be 1 spacer. So let me try to take it. Okay. The spacer. So this is gonna be the spacer. I don't know what is this for exactly, but I'm gonna put it back, of course. The downstream catalytic converters from both sides was successfully removed, so as well as the exhaust system. So this whole area is now empty. There's no muffler, no Y pipe, no tailpipe. So now it's gonna be more room for me to work. So and this is the passenger side. This is the passenger side. And the upper catalytic converters, I'm gonna remove it a little bit later, not now. Okay, and this is the transfer case. Right now I'm gonna try to lose the nuts on the front drive shaft, and this is the rear end of it. So I'm using 14mm socket, and I'm using extension wrench. Okay, so I lifted one side of the car, the front one, and I'm just gonna rotate the tire now for the same position where I can easier remove two other bolt. Yeah, and now I'm gonna try to carefully, safely lower the bottle chuck. So very slowly. Okay. And now the one end, the front end of the car is lifted, the driver's side, and I just gonna slowly rotate the tire. Oh, a little more up. Okay, and now I'm gonna rotate the tire until I see, maybe little like that, like before. Okay, I think now it's gonna be better. And now slowly I'm gonna lower the car. Right now I'm gonna remove this heat shield. It's again this is the passenger side, this is the crossmember. At this moment I'm gonna loosen the fuel plug and the drain plug on the transfer case. I won't gonna remove it completely, I'm just gonna loosen them free, so that after it's gonna be easier for me to change the fluid and drain it. And I will use the extension pipe for my ratchet because it feels it's gonna be tight. Yeah, so this one is loosened. I will lightly put it back, and now I'm gonna try to loosen the drain plug itself. So again, the extension magic pipe. Okay. Oh. Yeah. There's some. Oh. Okay. Okay. That's good. So I slightly put it back. Okay. That's good. And now I'm gonna do the same for the transmission. And for transmission itself, this is gonna be the fuel plug right here, and the drain plug is gonna be right here. So I'm gonna also loosen them up. Or at least I'm gonna try to loosen them up. Again, I'm gonna use the extension pipe. Oh, так. Yeah, this is loose. And little tight. Okay, and now the same for the drain plug. And again, the extension pipe. Okay, good. Tight it. Okay. And on my next step, I raise the transmission transfer case. Just slightly. I use this hydraulic jack. I raised it for about 1/4 inch, so you can see the mount is free from the cross member. And for my next step, I'm gonna loosen the cross member bolts. Alright, and the next step is going to be completely experimental. I wanted to try to spread it, the frame, and I'm using this wooden attachment and the multi-positional bottle jack. So I wanted to spread the frame just a little bit to have a little better chances to remove it without less noise, the crossmember. So just in case if it's gonna be successful, then I'm gonna show every corner of this wooden attachment that I built maybe for 20 minutes. Yes, and basically the whole idea, I'm gonna be little by little spreading it, the frame, in the hope that it's gonna unseize the crossmember itself. So let me put the camera in the different angle. Okay, so right now I'm gonna spread it. I'm gonna keep spreading the frame. And in the process I'm gonna hammer it. In the process I'm gonna use the 4-pound hammer. And not just the hammer, I also gonna use the breaker, the pry bar, the very long one. So let's see. I just wanna. Oh my god! Oh my god! So this works. Woo! Woo! Yeah! Oh, I'm very happy. Woo! Woo! Like that. Woo! Like a piece of cake. Woo! Easy peasy. Woo! Alright, and right now I'm gonna drain the transmission fluid. So again, I prepared my bucket. It's right here. So now I'm just gonna untie it. Yeah, transmission is very high. Okay, actually the oil looks very nice. Oil I changed it 2 years ago. So I was expecting worse. Yeah, and now I also what I gonna do. Now I gonna drain. Sorry, I gonna remove this mount bracket. I secure this wooden spreader. Yes, I'm gonna keep it in place for now, and I secured it with the ratcheting straps, and I used the framing holes to hook it, and on each side I used 2 straps, and on each side I have it, so it's tight. I'm gonna remove that mount plate, this one, and after that I just gonna remove my bottle jack, which holds transmission for now. I'm gonna be very careful. I wanted to see how it's gonna hold it in place. So, but first let me just remove this mount bracket. I already removed the second bolt on other side, so it's also 17mm. Okay, so for me it's time to drop one bottle jack. I'm gonna try to carefully lower it and see. I wanna see how the straps gonna hold it, the straps and the spreader. Okay, so I prepared my drain bucket. It's under the transfer case. I'm just gonna loosen it up, the drain bolt now. So let's see. Okay, it's also not bad for the transmission transfer case fluid. I also changed it 2 years ago, so it's about the same color, the red. And, while the transfer case fluid is draining, what I'm gonna do the next, I will start racing front side of the car, and I'm gonna remove the ramps under the wheels, and after I'm gonna put axle stands just on the regular spot, so that I can work on the catalytic upper stream side, catalytic and some other components. So that's my plan for the next few hours. Alright, so I already removed the ramp from the driver's side, the front driver's side, and right now I'm gonna remove the ramp from the passenger side. So, and for my next step, I'm gonna remove the wheels, and I'm gonna remove the inner wheel cover to have more access to the exhaust catalytic upper side. Alright, so I already removed the wheel covers on both sides, the plastic wheel covers, so right now I have a little more access to the components that I'm gonna remove next. And the next on my list is removing the catalytic converter. So I need to disconnect the wire, and after I have 3 studs and 3 nuts on the manifold and the catalytic converter between. So I'm gonna do it now, and the only thing in my case that somebody cut my heat shield already. Okay, to remove the wires, I just use one hand to press the tab, and with the second hand I pulled it out with just the tiny pliers. Carefully I pulled it on the housing, so just like this. So all two sensors is disconnected. I'm gonna carefully put it on side, and right now I'm gonna try to remove the nuts on the catalytic converter. So I'm just gonna do it now. So that's the side. Again, I'm gonna move the wire away, and yeah, so there's the focus. So in my opinion, the flexible wrenches, ratcheting wrenches is very important working in this catalytics. So it's 14 millimeter. So now I'm gonna try to carefully break it loose. So yeah, there's no focus, the camera is very close. I'm gonna use the double wrench system, just to break it loose. And here goes. Oh yes, so this is cracked. Yeah, so this one is loose, and there's gonna be two more to go on this side. 10 millimeter wrench, it's right here. It's on the last nut of the catalytic converter. And two upper side, I removed it from the upper side, and the lower one I'm gonna remove it from underneath. So I'm again using 14 millimeter flexible end socket, and I'm gonna attach the secondary wrench. And now I'm gonna break it loose. Oh, так. Yeah, so now it's also it's very helpful to have this flexible head. Yeah, so now I'm just gonna remove that nut. All the nuts are removed, so I carefully right now I'm carefully gonna pull it out, this catalytic converter. It's just, I'm watching for the wire to make sure that it's not gonna get cut on something. Yeah, and now catalytic converter is removed. So, right, and now it's time for me to remove the crank position sensor, which is located right here under this cover boot. So I'm just gonna carefully pull it and disconnect. I'm gonna pull the boot. Okay, and the wire, I'm gonna disconnect the connector. Oh. Attack. Yeah, and now I'm gonna use 10 millimeter socket, extension, and the ratchet. Right now I'm gonna remove the heat shield from the starter. It's again 10 millimeter two sockets. One is on the bottom of the heat shield, and the second is on the left upper side. So this is gonna be the first one. Attack. And the second one is just right here. Right here. right there. Oh, this is tighter. This is the front side of the starter, yes, and there's 2 wires connected to it. So I won't gonna disconnect the wires, I'm just gonna planning to remove this mount bolts on either side, and after carefully I will try to keep it on this oil pan. Right now I'm about to remove the bolts for the starter, yes, and I will start with this one first. It's 14mm, they're both 14mm. And for this one I'm gonna use extension, 2-inch extension. Right. Oh, I see so much dust from the clutch. So gasket is out. At this moment I won't gonna disconnect the electrical connection on the starter. I don't think it's gonna give any issues, and I just gonna keep it on top of the oil pan. And for now I will disconnect the slave cylinder from the transmission. So, and again, in my case I'm using 14mm socket. Oh, так. Two of them is out, and slave cylinder itself I will keep it just right here. Yeah, I will keep it right here for now. Right, so currently I'm on the driver's side, and this heat shield I need to take it out. So this is gonna be 3 10mm bolts. One is broken in my case, but this is gonna be the second one right there, and the third one is gonna be behind the control arm. So it's gonna be right there. Right, that is the third one. So the heat shield, I remove my bolts. I won't gonna take it out completely. I just gonna try to keep it somewhere on the side. I also just disconnected the O2 sensor wire, so it's right here, the same way as opposite side. I'm just gonna keep it, I'm gonna lower it down the frame where it's not gonna be exposed. And right now I'm gonna remove this first nut from the catalytic converter stud. Yes, I'm gonna use this flexible end wrench, and in addition I'm gonna add the second leverage wrench, so it's gonna give me extra force. Right. To remove second nut, which is on other side, I'm using exactly the same system, the 14mm flexible wrench and bigger wrench on the other side. And now carefully I'm gonna try to lift it up. Yeah, it's tight. And yes! So this one is broken loose. Alright, and this is gonna be the last nut on the catalytic converter passenger side. So I already put my flexible head wrench, and I'm gonna use 2 wrenches to have more leverage. So this is the other end. So now I'm gonna attach the second wrench right like this, and let's see if I can break it. Oh. Break it loose. So pressure. Okay. And this nut is loose. I'm just trying to untighten it, and that's the last nut that holds the catalytic converter. It's very little amount of room, but still with the right tools it's very doable. Alright, so the whole exhaust system is removed up to the engine manifolds on both sides. So at this moment what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start disconnecting just the wiring above the transmission. Wiring and also the vacuum hoses. Right, and right now I'm exactly under the passenger side. So this is the transmission. I don't know what happened to my VIN number. Yes, it's not here anymore. So the slave cylinder is disconnected. Right now I'm gonna do disconnection of all of the connectors. I also, just in case, I put the marks on them. So this is for the O2 sensor, and this is 2 different connectors. The same, I need to remove all of the brackets that holds the main wire. And, on this side it was just hooked with the zip tie to this metal bracket, so I removed it, and now I'm gonna follow this harness. So this is the rear end of the transfer case. And on the other side of transfer case I have this type of connectors. Above them I have one vacuum hose just right here, and the main harness is, I don't know how come but it's secured in that type of position. So I put the mark on each side. So I already disconnect the connectors, second connector, and the same for the hose. I just put the mark in case it's just gonna be a little more easier for me to put it back this way. So right now I'm under the driver's side of the car, and this is the rear side of the front drive shaft. So this is 2 air hoses, and one of them is going straight to the end of the transfer case. I marked it, yes, and this second hose is right here. this air hose is connected right here, so I will also mark it. And this is the rest of the harness that I also need to mark and disconnect. And this is the end of the transfer case, and I managed to remove those two connectors, so they're just under the transfer case. And now I'm gonna try to remove that upper vacuum hose that's been stuck. So at this moment I managed to remove that air hose, the vacuum tube. Yes, and the only problem, it was rusted inside, so it's got rusted pretty well inside, so I soaked it in the PB blaster for maybe 1 hour, and after I managed to slowly rotate it and get it out. So for now I just pulled these two vacuum tubes out from that side. I'm gonna keep it somewhere safe in this side, further away from the transmission. And also there's third vacuum tube that is located right there on the top of the transmission, and it's connected just above it. So I'm gonna try to pull it out from the port. I disconnect the front passenger side, and I disconnect this connector. I also remove the connector from the O2 sensor, which was mounting right here. Alright, so for now my next step is gonna be removing the shifter. So I'm just gonna untie the shifter knob. I can see already the bolts. It's gonna be 1, 2, 4 bolts. I believe it's 4 bolts, so I need to remove them now, and they're all 10 millimeters. Okay, and the same. I broke loose this third bolt. I'm using just the flexible head wrench, so I'm gonna untie it, this bolt, and after I'm gonna untie the second one, the last one, the fourth one, which is right under this tubing. I'm not sure why, but in my case I don't have any zip tied around this rubber boot, so you can see there's a little bit of droplets of oil come out. And also for the air tubing, it's possible to put it on top from this area, so when transmission gonna go back, I can easily put it the vacuum tube just from the top side, so that I'm gonna know for sure it's went in correctly. And you can also see how rusty is that port. So right now I'm trying to break loose the 10 millimeter bolts. Yeah. So now I'm just gonna use the hand. And at this moment I already brought the transmission jack under the car. I'm gonna use this wooden blocks on top so that transmission gonna be supported right in this area, just like this. But before putting it up, I need to remove this improvised spreader, and for that purpose I just need to lift again transmission a little bit up. Now, just to be safe, I'm probably gonna use a strap to hook it in a place. Okay, so far the transmission holds on the transmission jack. Right now I'm gonna remove this armor plate under the engine side. It's all of these bolts are 14mm in my case, and after I'm gonna raise the engine just to keep it in the same position as the transmission. Okay, and for now I'm just gonna support the engine on this side. I'm gonna use the bottle jack just to slightly press it in, so that when I'm gonna disconnect the transmission, the engine won't gonna suddenly flip up. So this is my next step. Okay, that's enough. I think that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. That's it. Enough! Currently I'm on the driver's side, front driver's side, and that's what I came up with for the topmost bolt. I'm using 3/8 extendable and flexible ratchet. It's a little bit longer handle, so I placed it in the bolt. Now I'm gonna try to lose it. It's not enough even room to see it on the camera, but I hope you can see the handle. I will grab it with my hand in a moment. Okay, so this is my hand. And now I'm gonna try to carefully yeah, I think it's yeah, I can feel it. So this one is loosened. This bolt is out, and in a moment I will show you. I used exactly this type of ratchet wrench. Yeah, so this is 3/8, 17mm socket, and the only thing that it has that flexible head. Alright, so I managed to put the socket inside the bolt. It's actually not as scary as it looks. The only scary part is it takes tremendous amount of effort just to try to break it because of all of these long extensions. And that's up to here. Пружина. Oh. What the hell? Okay, I see. Oh, I see. The actual swivel adapter breakdown on me. Alright, so this is what happened to that swivel adapter. It's got broken, and it's my fault because I used a little stubby impact. Yes, but what is very good, because on my second attempt with this another swivel set, I managed to break free that upper bolt above the passenger side. Yes, so right now I'm just, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna lose all of the bolts that is in a very usable position to get access, and after hopefully I will drop carefully the transmission down. At this moment I have all 9 bolts removed from the bell housing, so I only have last bolt that is on the bottom of the transmission, so I just gonna untie it right now, and after I'm gonna try to slide the transmission off. Okay, so this cover must come out. This cover, the access port, it must come out. Alright. I almost damaged this connector. So it was just between the transmission and the body, so the wire must be checked regularly. Alright, so let me pull it further away. at this moment I won't gonna lower it because of that frame. Yes, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna try to push the whole assembly down maybe for the 6 inches, so that I would have enough room to work on the flywheel, pressure plate and the clutch.
Alright, so I finally managed to remove my original clutch assembly from the 2012 Nissan Xterra. And the thing that I want to mention, the pressure plate is exedy. The clutch surface get burn marks. So I'm very happy that I actually replaced it just now. The same for the clutch material, it's almost worn out to the rev nuts. Almost, there's a fraction of millimeter left. The same for the springs. Yes, this is not supposed to be like this. Like I can literally rotate the springs inside the clutch, and it's not good sign. Yes, so it had a lot of play. The clutch itself had a lot of play. The same, you can see how much heat it had at some point with the discoloring. Yeah, and regarding the flywheel, the same is here. The play, I don't think it's supposed to be this much play. From the factory, I would say it's literally about 3/16, maybe even a 1/4 inch. maybe even more. Yeah, and the same, you can see a lot of burn marks. So I'm just hoping after the installation of the Jim Wolf clutch kit, I won't gonna let anybody drive my car. Yes, so that's gonna be no for anybody who gonna ask. Yeah, and this is also, it's a Luke flywheel, as heavy as hell. So I almost dropped it on myself while removing it. Yes, and that's the marking for the timing, for the crank position sensor, crankshaft position sensor. So this is the timing mark, and on the other side it's gonna be exactly this little hole. That's the timed flywheel. Yeah, so let me keep it aside. And the original clutch is way smaller, I would say maybe 25%. The friction material, you can see the difference. So if I can place it one by one. And for now, I'm just gonna also clean the surface of the friction material. Just using the brake cleaner. I managed to remove the pilot bearing, and I just used this kind of equipment. It was easier than I also expected. There wasn't any resistance. Just what is very important, make sure to mark the line where it was original installed. The original pilot bushing, where it was installed, so that you're gonna put the new one in the same position. And regarding the throwout bearing, it's completely shut, because first of all you can hear the sound of the bolts inside, and the same, there's some play inside, and I don't know how does it happen, but the metal housing got bent. So there's, I don't know if it was some impact or something happened to it, but this bearing is shut. Yeah, so it's for next step I'm gonna clean it and press the new bearing inside. I just installed the new pilot bushing and the new rear main seal. So the camera was a little bit far away because there's not enough room up front. And right now I'm gonna
install the flywheel, and the single mass flywheel, it's also timed, but the only good thing that for the Jim Wolf flywheel single mass, it can be installed only in one position, because this timing pin, it's gonna align only with one hole on the rear side of the flywheel. So I will show you just in a moment. It's gonna be this exact tiny hole right between the two bigger one. Yeah, so let me put it opposite side now. So the flywheel can be installed only in one position. I'm gonna follow the sequence from the instruction they provided me. So first I'm gonna torque them down to 35 foot per pound, and after to 70, all of them in the sequence of diagonal bolts, and after I had to remove each one of them, and I had to add a red thread lock, and after I'm gonna torque them down to 75 foot per pound. So it's just gonna take a little bit of time, but that's not a big problem for this job. At this moment I'm just gonna clean up the friction surface. Okay, so at this moment I'm gonna try to install the pressure plate. I already put the clutch in. I keep the clutch tool inside to keep the clutch in place, and I also sprayed it with brake fluid all over the place to try to keep it clean as possible. And now we're gonna put the pressure plate. For the metal pins, I already installed it to the flywheel, so this metal pins gonna hold the pressure plate in place before I'm gonna put the bolts in. So let me So currently I already put the pressure plate in place. I already torqued it down by the specs, and what I did after, I just started changing the angle of the transmission, and I tried to match the angle on the engine so as closer as I can get. And as soon as I get maybe 5 inches, what I did, I had these long bolts with the same thread, and I have only 3 of them, so I start screwing them in, and it's gonna be more like my guiding bolts. Right now I'm located under the driver's side, and in my case I used 6-inch bolts with the same thread. I used 3 of them, and I hooked one on the top, one on the bottom, and the third one was exactly the same location, just on the passenger side. And this was my guiding bolts. As soon as I moved transmission closer, like it was 1.5 gap, what I did after, I start rotating the flywheel itself just a little bit to make sure that the spline's gonna line up with the clutch disc. And in my case it's actually took me less than I expected at all. So I hope I didn't damage anything inside, and I hope everything worked out well, because I won't gonna be happy to remove the transmission again if something is wrong. Yes, and what I gonna do now, I just gonna remove these guiding bolts, and I gonna start hooking up the rest of the bolts. The transmission, I dropped it by the angle. I match it with the angle on the engine side. So for the engine, I hook it on the bottle jack to lift it front of the engine as far as I can. And basically this is my point where it's basically almost touching the transmission, almost touching this front crossmember. Yes, so it's barely touching it. So this was my angle. With this angle I'm gonna be able to reach the upper bolts, which is on top of the transmission, a little bit easier. Yes, and this is my setup for the transmission itself, so it's tilted quite a lot. Yeah. At this moment I'm about to reinstall the main crossmember, and what I find out the best is just to loosen the mount bracket on the transmission, so that it's gonna have a little bit of play in it. Yes, otherwise there's a chance that bolt's not gonna align with it. And as soon as I loosen it, I approximately put it, I center it by these bolts, by these 3 bolts, so that it was in place. And after I take 3-pound hammer and I start hammering each side, one hammer, one punch of the hammer. Yes, and I was trying to do it in a step. And as soon as this side aligned, I instantly put 2 bolts in. Yes, and now I just gonna hammer this side. And it wasn't as bad, even without the frame spreader. Yes, I didn't use it. I just used the 3-pound hammer and slowly just going. And I'm keep checking on the side for the bolts. Yes, and just in case if it's something not correct, I can play it with spray bar, just to push it on the edge. Yes, but it shouldn't, I don't think it's gonna be an issue. Crossmember secure in place, as well as transmission. The mount bracket is also torqued down to specification, as well as its lower nuts. So everything is secure and looking good. For my next step, I won't gonna put oil just yet on the transmission, and I won't gonna put oil just yet in the transfer case. My next step, I'm gonna put my shifter inside the car back. I'm gonna make sure that it's in neutral position. After I'm gonna connect the battery, and after I'm gonna start the car. I just want to make sure that it's gonna start at all, and if there's not gonna be any issue before I'm gonna put exhaust back and the drive shafts back. So that's just I will start the car, maybe, hopefully, if it starts at all, I'm gonna start it for 1-2 seconds, and after I instantly gonna shut it off. yeah, that's gonna be my next step. And right now I'm gonna do my final steps, and the final steps for Xterra is gonna be a special meal. Yes, I'm making wool wax. I'm warming it up to make it as thin as possible. Yeah, so that's gonna be my next step. While the car is lifted, all four corners is up, so I'm gonna use the spray gun. Yeah, this is my protection for the Ontario winter. So I'm gonna apply it. And the exhaust is already installed, all the components. From the catalytic converters to the tailpipe, I change the whole system. So it's gonna be also different, it's gonna be different sound for the exhaust. Yeah.